So if I was starting today as a new solo, I would be
entrepreneurial aspect
have to change the way they're practicing.
having a leader
You said they've done it earlier.
To help young lawyers.
Starting a small
what it
firm.
means to be fulfilled.
Make it easy to work with your clients.
New approach, new tools, new mindset, new solo.
And it's making that leap.
Hello and welcome to New Solo on Legal Talk Network. I'm Adriana Linares, a legal technology trainer and consultant and host of this show. I help lawyers and law firms use technology better. I want to thank our partners in developing the New Solo First Flight series for solo attorneys presented by ALPS Insurance. They're interested in helping solos and small law firms get the best start to their practices. So we've curated the best 12 episodes for new solos in partnership with ALPS. We're highlighting a portion of the episode with Kristen Rizzo. She had a healthy practice in employment law and made a very measured shift to mediation. We hope hearing about her through the thought process and preparation gives you some insight if you're thinking about redefining your practice. Stay through to the end when I sit down with Laine from ALPS Insurance. Rio and I get into finding the right balance when transitioning your practice between jumping in and analysis paralysis. We're going to talk about how to woo your professional liability company. Don't you want to be wanted? And we talk about stranger danger with unknown clients. And now my interview with Kristen Rizzo, running a mediation practice in San Diego. Not long after I started working for the San Diego County Bar, you were starting your Rizzo Resolution. I said, when you're ready, let me know. We'll get you on New Solo to talk about what it's like to start a mediation firm. So before we just launch into that, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure.
And who you are and where you practice and what you do, and the whole business.
Thank you. I'm happy to. So I'm Kristen Rizzo. I've been an attorney for a little over, 13 years now. I'm a native of San Diego.
You are?
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you. My father is an attorney. My brother's an attorney, so that definitely runs in the family. As you mentioned, I'm the past president of the San Diego County Bar Association. Leadership and volunteer service to the legal community has been a passion of mine, as has been being an attorney, and now I'm also a mediator. So as an attorney, I practice both defense as well as plaintiffs' law, mostly specializing in labor and employment law. I worked in a larger law firm here in San Diego. I worked in and opened my own law practice, which I had for a number of years, called Rizzo Law. And then I transitioned that as I rebranded myself into a mediation firm where I also do impartial workplace investigations. And I opened up Rizzo Resolution in April of this year. And so now I do all neutral work, mediation and workplace investigations, and I'm also affiliated with a mediation company here in town called West Coast Resolution. And I'm excited to be here and talk to you all about how I did that.
Yes.
And it's only been a little over 6 months since doing that, so I'm still learning. And as I talk to you about how I did that, how I rebranded and launched and all of that into the field of neutrality, I think it's important for everybody to know that the launch into a neutral practice is really like any rebrand. It can span attorneys wanting to rebrand themselves into different practice areas, and so I think this will sort of be applicable across the board to any attorney. But I know a lot of people ask me about how I rebranded myself into a mediator.
And so why do you think that is? What's the interest as far as, from your experience in talking to people, what's the interest in being a mediator versus a regular, I mean, I don't even know what to call you other than a regular lawyer.
Sure. No, exactly. And people ask that all the time. I think because being an attorney, a litigator, a trial attorney is hard work. It's a dedicated practice to the service of individuals or companies or rights. And it is significant and it's hard. It's intense. And I think a lot of attorneys do see sort of maybe the end of the rainbow in terms of mediation. But I will say I am working just as hard, if not harder.
This isn't a walk in the park.
Definitely not.
It's just a different park.
Exactly. It's just a different park. But I love it. I'm very passionate about it. And what I would say to anybody who wants to transition into this field of neutrality is it's a wonderful transition. You have the opportunity to serve and assist not only individuals or companies, justice basically, but you also get to assist your fellow attorneys, so your fellow colleagues, as they assist and help their clients.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, your clients basically become the attorneys.
Right.
And so that's great because after a number of years in service to attorneys, through my leadership, the county bar and other places, it's wonderful to be able to sort of utilize those connections that I've had and transition that into a different level of connecting with the legal community.
You're like a meta lawyer. You're a lawyer for lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
A lawyer of lawyers. A lawyer among lawyers.
Yeah.
So let's back up just a little bit to give everyone an idea of just what the process was like. So many years ago, you were at a large law firm and you went solo.
That's right.
So you had a solo practice, Rizzo Law, and you had a successful solo practice for about 10 years?
Yeah, a little less than 10, about 8, I think. Yeah, so the transition into mediation was what I like to describe as sort of twofold, a macro approach and a micro approach. So I think maybe we'll start out talking about the macro approach, because people ask me all the time, how did I do this, right?
How about, before you tell us how,
Sure.
Why?
Why? Yeah, no, good question. The why is, it's been something that I thought about for a very long time. And I think it was because deep down, even though it resonated with me, obviously, to be an attorney and an advocate, which is a big part, obviously, of being in litigation and doing trial work and fighting for justice, whether it was as a defense attorney, which I did for a number of years, or as a plaintiff's attorney, it always resonated with me to be a conflict resolver and to help people try to resolve their disputes prior to the big fight, the big show, if you will, the trial or a conflict. And sometimes people do have to go to trial, or they do have to litigate for a number of months or even years before they can resolve. But it always resonated with me to help people try to resolve. And I also always seem to see the gray in disputes. Who's saying what, how they perceive things. People perceive things in their own different, unique ways, and that's what makes individuals so fascinating.
Yeah.
I do, like I said, I do mostly labor and employment law, and it's a lot of times about that. So I knew deep down, even from law school, I took negotiation classes, and I took an extensive conflict resolution class early on in my legal career. I had a feeling I would like to transition there if I could.
So it was always deep down in there.
I think so.
And weird side question, but do you have twins?
I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh, okay. So almost twins. So
Almost twins.
Almost twins.
Not quite.
Do you find yourself using those conflict and mediation skills with those kids?
Yes, I do more these days. I've been asked to do some high conflict personality mediation. So, one, I think that stems from doing a lot of employment law, because there's always just conflict with personality that comes from employment situations.
Yes.
And yes, my children, I say right now, my older daughter Lola, she's always negotiating with me these days. I'm like telling her, please stop negotiating with me. So we'll see where that leads in her life. And also family dynamics are the perfect place to learn conflict resolution.
Sure. Like when you started talking about personalities and people, it immediately made me think of kids and how different they can be even when they're related and trying to solve a problem there. But that does just give me an opportunity to ask you, as you were going through this transition and you turned to your husband and said, hey, I'm sure he was supportive, but
Definitely.
People always like hearing about that sort of the conversations you might have had, and what were the risks? What was he worried about, if anything? What were you worried about, or was it basically like, honey, I know you got this. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, all of the above, right? It's an excellent question. He's extremely supportive, so the latter is very true. He's always been supportive in my career because, one, going out as a solo attorney, first and foremost, from a larger law firm. I was at Hicks, Fletcher & Mack here in San Diego.
Big firm in San Diego.
Right? When I first started out in my career, that was a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if I could make it as a solo plaintiff side attorney. He was supportive then when I did that. And he's supportive now when I jumped from that sort of pretty successful law practice to now doing mediation and impartial investigations. And I've been asked even now, wow, why did you make the jump? you had that successful practice.
Right.
And it was because I felt it, I knew it, I know it's the right decision for me. He also has a very steady job. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's helpful.
Right? He has that steady paycheck.
Sure.
And so in our marriage and in our family, that has always worked, where I took like the big risks and I tend to sort of make the big reward. And he has the very sort of steady job, and like he has insurance coverage for our family. And so that has always worked for us. Now, that being said, he's across the world right now, and I'm managing all the family stuff at home. So we have a great family dynamic, and it's a great marriage. So I'm very lucky to do the things that I can do with that support. Going back to your question about sort of family dynamics too, though, and conflict personalities, I always like to say it's easier to resolve other people's conflicts than one's own. So just FYI on that. But anyway, yes.
And I definitely want to encourage listeners who might not have all that support and family and a network. You can still do this.
Absolutely.
I try to be positive and say you don't even need all that to be able to do what you've done, to launch a solo practice, to transition, to rebrand. You just have to do a few research items. Any other thoughts or ideas you want to make sure, and sort of either some pearls you want to drop before we get into some details about how you launched?
Yes. So we talked about how I practice both sides of the law in terms of plaintiff and defense, and that helped me become a specialist in the practice area. In terms of, for me, it was labor and employment law, but becoming a specialist in your practice area, I think, is key. The second thing I did was I learned conflict resolution. I talked about how early on in my career, I attended a class.
You went all in.
I did. I went to another class as I was really thinking that I was going to make this transition. I attended the Strauss Institute at Pepperdine School of Law, and that was an amazing program. Then I even looked into how I could really get hands-on training with mediation.
Oh.
And I mediated nearly 30 cases pro bono.
No kidding.
Yeah, there are many pro bono programs that you can look into. So even before I officially launched, I had many mediations under my belt. I mediated through small claims, through the Superior Court in San Diego, through the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, through Department of Fair Employment and Housing. So I had a ton of mediation experience even before I officially
While
launched.
you ran your solo practice?
I did.
Wow,
Yeah.
you're Superwoman.
Well, I don't think so. I just think that I really got prepared. And so what I wanted people to know about this is the preparation process was through my whole career, obviously, becoming an expert, but the specific process took a couple of years, really specifically hammering down.
So you did not rush this?
I did not. I really thought about it, and I really tried to become a specialist both in practice area and then in mediation. And then the last thing that I would say is I also had visibility in the community.
It's so important.
Right? And so you said it, that I was the president of the Bar Association, but that was also a huge part of my career, in that I was the president of the New Lawyers Division. I was the section chair of labor and employment for the county bar. I also had other volunteer leadership opportunities through other associations, through my law school, et cetera. And so I had a lot of people who knew me and I knew them, and I had built connections and relationships. And it was after I felt like I had everything in place, the specialty for the practice area, the understanding of how to really be a mediator, and the visibility, that I felt like I sort of had my brand, if you will, and that I felt I had what I needed to then do the launch.
Wow. That's a lot of back-end work that you did. Let me ask you
I'm
this.
nothing but prepared, people tell me.
Overachieving prepared attorneys are bound to be successful. Would you say you were obsessed with getting this done?
Oh, obsessed. That is a very, very good word. As I say, I like to be prepared. I don't know that I'm always the smartest person in the room, but I do like to say that I try to be the most prepared. I try to read everything. Cool. I try to understand everything. And that's also a big part of being a mediator. Yeah. And frankly, a workplace investigator. I try to be prepared with what's in front of me. You know what I find makes you great at what you do? If you enjoy it and you have passion about it.
Yes.
And I have those things. And that's what's going to make you great in something. And so I always tell people, enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, find something else, right?
Look, I see this all the time with lawyers, and especially young lawyers. If you're going to be a lawyer, pick an area of law that you can be passionate and obsessed over, or you're going to be miserable. Because it's a hard job. No matter what type of law you're practicing, where, what size firm, it can be hard. So best thing is to find an area that you can get obsessed about. It's obvious that you are passionate about it. So yeah, and I love that you encourage us to do pro bono work, because I think especially when you're a young lawyer, it's hard to find that extra time. Mm-hmm. But you used it really creatively. You said, well, I'm going to do this pro bono work for me, but also for them, and got the right training that you really needed to successfully launch.
There's a lot of training opportunities in pro bono work that people often don't think about, especially if you're working in a larger law firm.
Yeah.
It's a good way to transition into something too and become a specialist if you're not always sort of allowed the time in your billable practice area, but to think about it from a pro bono aspect.
For practical legal guidance you can trust, turn to PLI Press. Their new catalog features skills books, practice guides, and treatises across 33 practice areas, plus expert Q&As and insights you won't find anywhere else. Check out their new titles like Decrypting Crypto, Climate Change and ESG, and their Practitioner's Desk Book on Evidence. And save 20% on any book with promo code RTZ5 SOLO5. Visit pli.edu/new solo. PLI Press, answers from the name you trust. Tomorrow's a mystery, but your coverage doesn't have to be. At ALPS Insurance Agency, they believe that proper planning prevents poor performance. Say that 5 times fast. Endorsed by bar associations throughout the country, they're a one-stop shop for solo lawyers and small firms. Turn uncertainty into security with tailored, comprehensive business and malpractice insurance solutions. As the nation's leader for solo and small firms, ALPS makes it quick and easy to protect your practice. Learn more at alpsinsurance.com. So let's talk a little bit of the how. Mm-hmm. You did a lot of research. You spent 2 years. What were the things you learned? How did you figure out marketing? What did you change in technology? Because you ended up closing your practice. You closed the law firm.
Right. So the law firm Rizzo Law, PC, I ended up putting away. The advice I got was if you wanted to be a true neutral, to be seen as a neutral in the community, you best put away your litigation practice. And that's the advice I got. I received it. I really thought long and hard about it because I really did enjoy advocating. I really did like my practice, but I felt committed to being a neutral. And so I did close down Rizzo Law and I opened up Rizzo Resolution. It was a long, hard decision. Sometimes I even think about it now, but I'm happy that I did it. The first decision I made after I made that decision was whether I was going to affiliate or not with a mediation group. And so I did have some meetings with various mediation groups in San Diego. And I decided, like I said, to join West Coast Resolution. Thanks to West Coast for allowing me not only to mediate, but to keep the impartial workplace investigation part of my practice. And that's what I have under Rizzo Resolution, because that is a very steady stream of income. One thing about being a mediator is, and I'm sure most people know and understand this, it's very competitive. It's
really?
Not only challenging,
don't
but
assume
super
they do.
competitive.
Like, talk to us like we're 4 years old,
okay,
and we don't know that. So I want to back up and ask you a backup question. Why couldn't you keep both?
So I don't know if every mediation group would want that necessarily, just in terms of the branding of different mediation groups. And I don't know if that would be prohibited necessarily, but it was something that I had to go and make sure that the groups that I was talking to, that would be okay. Okay. Workplace investigations are impartial the way that I performed them. So that's the way that I pitched it to the groups that I was meeting with.
Excellent.
Okay.
So and just help us understand the logistics. So with Rizzo Resolution and the investigation side work, that's you billing the clients directly.
That's correct.
And that's your gig.
That's correct.
And then if you is it like an assignment, a gig? What do you call it through the mediation group? And then how does the pay structure work there?
Correct. Yeah. No, good question. So with mediations, they either can come in through me or through West Coast. I have, like I said, I'm affiliated through them, so it's an independent contractor relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have my case manager over there, Kathy Purcell is her name. She's wonderful. She's fantastic. She works with most of the mediators over there. I have a split arrangement. I'm not going to tell you what that is because it's probably proprietary.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's okay.
But they take a percentage for the work that they perform. And Kathy and West Coast, they help me in terms of all the case management, scheduling, paperwork, rooms. I mediate over there, advertising, helping me schedule talks, print ads, various things.
Oh, very good.
And so that's what they provide for me.
There's a lot of resources there that you get when you join a mediation group.
That's right. And not everybody can. So it's conversations you have to have with these groups.
Right.
Are you competitive? Do they see you that way? Do you see them that way? Do you want to split your take? Do you have someone otherwise to do that work for you?
Right.
I did have an assistant with my old law firm, and so I ended that relationship ended, and so I was looking for that type of assistant. Some mediators don't affiliate at all; they have their own company to do it.
Okay.
So it's just a choice you have to make.
Okay, well that's good. That's helpful. Mm-hmm. And how much is it? A 60-40 or a 30-90?
30-70.
Oh my God. This time zone hopping really makes my brain. Yeah, so is
somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not 50-50 or 100 or like 90-10. It's definitely split in a way that you choose.
It's similar to a attorney contingency relationship.
And you get to define that and
negotiable.
That's very good.
Yeah. So after I made that decision and I affiliated, then it turned to like the nuts and bolts of the launch and how I was going to do that. And so what I say is it was a multi-tiered marketing approach. And you'll appreciate this, Adriana. I took a personal approach, an electronic approach.
Very good.
And a snail mail, regular mail approach.
Always works.
So it's sort of a 3-tier. And then somewhere in there was also the advertising approach. And it's hard to pinpoint whether that's electronic or regular mail because it's both in terms of what the legal organizations use in terms of their advertising. Yes. Question.
I raised my hand. I had a question. So when we're talking about the launch,
yes,
is it Rizzo Resolution that was launching because somehow you already have this advertising and you have this package with the mediation group?
Yeah, so it's both.
Okay,
it was both.
It was both.
All.
Okay,
and it was we had to work it together, right? Because West Coast was going to do some, and then Rizzo Resolution was going to do some.
So you spent a lot of time really sort of honing that relationship.
Oh yeah, it was months.
Refining it,
yes.
Making sure that everybody was going to be happy. Everything.
That's right.
There was no questions.
There was like anything, there was an issue, of course, on the day of the launch. There was a tech issue, and it was like one of the legal organizations came out ahead of schedule with my ad, so we had to like get going quickly with the West Coast ad, and like anything. Yeah, but it worked out. But yes, one thing that I say is there was a consistent approach to the branding. Good. And that was because West Coast has their own look, and then Rizzo Resolution obviously has their own look. It's separate logo and branding, but it was consistent. I wanted
you worked
it to
together.
Look similar. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So when you went out and like, okay, Rizzo Resolution's the name of it. I need some colors. I need a logo. You worked with whoever, your designers, and said, I need it to look not the opposite of this.
That's right. I actually used the same designer.
Okay, good.
You don't have to, but that was I elected to do so.
Smart.
Right, and so that really worked well. But yes, I picked a logo. I had my hand in designing it. Maybe to your a la obsession.
Yes.
I had my hands in everything. So
Good.
I picked and helped design my logo, my letterhead. I got thank you cards ready to go, a website, obviously, a new website, all of that, right? So all of that was ready to go on launch day.
Excellent.
I think launch day was like April 2nd, such that it wasn't April Fool's Day.
Right. Just move this one day
Right,
over.
one day. So, so we started, obviously, the personal approach, right? I mean, you have to be present. You have to see people. You have to constantly remind people what you're doing now, that you're not Rizzo Law and that you're not litigation and that you're, no longer doing plaintiff's work or defense work. I always say you have to have fun, be yourself, like we were just talking about. With your elevator pitch, I'm a soft pitcher, I like to say, but you have to constantly put yourself out there and tell people what you're doing now.
Are you finding even, so let's see, it's been 5 months or so, in your immediate community?
Right.
Are we over the hump, or are people still coming up to you 5-6 months later saying, what?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to takes a while.
It takes a long while because you've spent all this time being the attorney and representing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my law firm for, eight-ish years, and then I was a defense attorney for 5 years before that. So, people know you as straight attorney doing one side or the other or both or whatever. So, yeah, even in your immediate circles, you have to tell people what you're doing. But the launch itself has been very successful. I brand everywhere.
So
I continue to push myself out there. I was just showing Adriana that my phone cover has my logo on it.
Yes.
You can put your logo on anything. The World Wide Web is amazing.
It really is.
So I constantly look for places that I can put my logo or my brand somewhere.
And so
speaking of that, on the electronic, right?
Yeah.
That's your area of expertise.
Well, and I love that because I think the goal, and you tell me if I'm wrong, your goal is to stay, as they call it in the marketing world,
Yes.
top of mind.
Yes.
So you've got pens, iPhone covers, sticky notes, whatever.
Yes.
And it's there so that when somebody says, I think I need a mediator, you come top of mind.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. So you've got all your tchotchkes, and people love tchotchkes, and you just hand them out, and here comes the work, I hope. If only it were that easy.
If only.
Tell me more.
Okay. So on the electronic, I developed a database of contacts. And lucky for me, my database of contacts is thousands of people because I've just known a lot of people over my career.
Because you have not sat in the corner office just practicing law. You've been out there. You've been an activist. You've been a member of the community. You volunteer. You do pro bono work. You did the San Diego County Bar Trail of Success. And I just think it's important to remind, especially young lawyers who think that isn't important, how important all that is. So you had this giant book of contacts that you were able to immediately launch and say, hey, guess what?
Yep.
And you're not a no-name. They know the name when it comes across.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep, but I did. And so West Coast and myself, we used that database. They launched big ads with that electronic database. I was able to forward that ad to my database. My new website, obviously, I love it. I streamlined it. So it had a lot less words than my prior website. A lot less of everything. I tried to really just keep it very streamlined in terms of my two practice areas, mediation, workplace investigation, what those mean, define it, keep it short, sweet, simple, and easy read for people.
Are you Rizzo Resolution, just
yes.
like it sounds? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I posted things on LinkedIn. I posted my launch on LinkedIn and Facebook. So we did a number of sort of electronic, sort of just blasts and advertising and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Your website looks so cool.
Oh, thank you.
I do like it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Obviously, my logo's on there. My colors are similar. There's a little bit of a tiny bit of interaction on there. But, the things that I had sort of on my old website, I decided not to have. I think I had a map on my old website. I'm I think people know these days how to map,
Right,
so
right.
there were certain things I discussed with my designers and web team to simplify. And then the regular mail. And this is a tip that I'll put out there because I thought this was really cool. I'd love to hear your advice too, Adriana, on what you think might be cool. But I had heard from other mediators that in the launch, you should use regular mail and either write letters, type letters, handwrite cards to all the people in your database. Well, I have thousands of people in my database, and I'm thinking, how am I going to do that?
That sounds awful.
That sounds like a grind, right?
Right. No, it sounds like you got to put those kids to work.
Right, exactly.
Mommy's launching mommy's launching a resolution.
Right.
Here.
Right.
Please visit.
But I had heard about it from so many mediators that this is what they did over the years and years was they sent out letters and they hand wrote them or they whatever.
Please tell me you said, I'm going to try something different.
I did.
Okay.
Thank you. So, but I did think that this was a practice worth looking at to not just do advertising and not just do email, because we all know that we get thousands of emails.
Email's hard.
So I looked online and I thought, what about doing a postcard? Because we all know that we get tons of mail too, and we're flipping through it and it goes in our trash can.
Yep. I read my mail over the trash can.
Right.
Especially during the holidays. Please don't anyone send me a holiday card. Literally open them over the garbage can and in they go.
Right. I mean, you love the cute photos of the
Totally
kids.
love.
So I do the same thing, and I'm thinking, okay, so if they're going to spend 10 seconds, maybe
Better be impactful.
it better be impactful. So I decided to do a postcard, and I went online, and there's tons of services online where you can design your own postcard. And you can just upload your database of contacts.
It's amazing.
And they self-address it, and they can even stamp it.
Yep.
And so I had a number of postcards where I did it that way, where I had a message already typed in, and it was just direct mail. Perfect. I designed it with all my branding on it. And there was a service that also allowed me to direct mail it to myself, and I hand wrote a number of postcards as well.
That's pretty neat. So you handpicked a handful. You handpicked a handful to handwrite.
I handpicked over a handful,
right?
Like several hundred.
Oh my God!
But I didn't have to handwrite thousands.
Can you name names? The companies, not who you wrote.
No, I think it was Postables.
Postables, okay.
Yeah, and they were cheap and simple and straightforward,
and great.
And they were fine. And honestly, I had all my. It just required Excel.
Yep.
So the Excel spreadsheet I just uploaded. Super easy.
I love that.
You can see like my.
I love your logo.
Thank you.
I love your logo. Who, the designer that you worked with?
Me and the designer came up with that.
That's cool.
And it actually has a meaning, which is it's people coming together, like those are the heads. And
I
so
see
it's
that.
It's like we're all coming together to figure out.
It's a circle of trust and love.
Exactly.
Yeah, so everyone go visit Rizzo Resolution and look at the logo and leave a note on there for Kristen so that she knows you appreciated her information. Not that we're done, because we're not, but I do have a question about your website that I appreciate. And I just wanted to ask you if this is something normal in the mediation world or if you decided to do this because you know people get aggravated when they can't go to a website and get pricing. You have a whole, right under both your mediation and your workplace investigation, you put the rates. Was that something that is just normal? Or you said, I don't want people coming to me without knowing already what I'm going to charge? Or has anyone said to you, I can't believe you put your rates on there. You're pretty much giving away the farm and undercutting the rest of us from a competitive environment? Or is it, just tell me, like I'm curious why you decided to put rates on there, which like I said, I appreciate.
Oh, thank you. No one has ever expressed an issue with it. The first question I get from potential clients are, what are your rates and are you available? So what are my rates? They're right on my website.
Perfect.
And something that I am working on right now with my designer is, am I available?
Okay.
So I'm working to get a calendar on my website.
Great. CallRail helps law firms stop losing clients to missed calls. Did you know 28% of calls go unanswered? That's missed revenue and new business handed straight to your competition. Now there's Voice Assist by CallRail, the first AI phone agent trained on over 1 million calls. With Voice Assist built into CallRail's lead intelligence platform, your law firm can attract, capture, and convert leads, even when you can't get to the phone the first time. Try CallRail's full lead engagement platform free at callrail.com/newsolo. Let's face it, you didn't become a lawyer to stress over summaries and analysis. You could hand it off, but you need an assistant you can trust. CoCounsel handles those important but tedious tasks that keep you from being a lawyer. And because it's trained only on expert legal content from Thomson Reuters, it's as precise as you are, which means less stress and more confidence to focus on what matters. Head to tr.com/CoCounsel to discover AI that lawyers swear by. So you don't need any practice management program really because you're not billing by the minute. Do you miss that?
I do bill on the workplace investigations, but it's not as much, right? Because usually I'm only servicing 1 or 2 clients at a time.
Yep.
It's larger billing. And no, I do not miss that.
Yeah. Another one of those things no lawyer has ever said, boy, I miss billing my time by the 10th of the hour.
Right.
Okay, awesome. And then are you a mobile lawyer? You've got your laptop, so do you feel comfortable sort of moving around? Well, you've got to be, right? Because you have to go to the mediations for the most part.
I am a mobile lawyer. I get all my emails to my phone. I mean, it is password protected. I have all my stuff in the cloud. I carry my laptop pretty much everywhere. I didn't bring it today, and it's funny because I literally looked right now and you asked what kind of laptop I have. I'm like, oh, and then I realized I didn't have it. I love it. I carry it home every night with me. I always have it with me. I mean, it's wonderful. It saves me so much time. Like I said, I don't have an assistant anymore except for my case manager through West Coast, and it's funny not having that, but I don't need that assistance as much.
I love talking to people like you, whether you're a lawyer or not, because you never stop learning. It's totally your thing. And you're just on the learning path forever. What's next for Rizzo Resolution?
Oh my gosh. So, clearly I've only been in this practice field now officially for 6 months or so. So I'm lucky to see my practice area having launched well. Knock on wood. I think everybody who's been an instrumental part of my success, you know who you are.
You probably got a handwritten note.
You probably did get a handwritten note with the Rizzo Resolution logo on the front. No, thank you to everybody who's been really helpful to me and who's taught me and who's helped me get here. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. I know some things, obviously working on my website, getting that calendar up and running. I'm speaking at a conference next month on a similar topic.
Excellent.
And just kind of trying to stay relevant,
Yeah.
continue that.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right? Aren't we all? But continue the learning as well. And this is a craft. Just like all attorneys, we're practicing our skills and our craft so that we can better serve our clients, just like you, in technology. And I just think continuing to teach myself and better my craft and skills so I can serve our community. I don't know.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming in today and talking to us about this. I know it's a topic that interests a lot of attorneys. Appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me. It was really fun.
It was fun.
I encourage attorneys to become mediators if they want to, and I'm more than happy to talk.
That was Kristen Rizzo, a San Diego-based attorney turned mediator, building on her experience in employment law to mediate in employment and civil cases. I hope you liked hearing how she carefully planned for a transition to her practice to suit her larger goals. This is part of New Solo, First Flight series presented by ALPS Insurance. I'm joined by my friend Laine, ALPS's Director of Strategic Partnerships. Rio helps attorneys protect their practices even through transitions. Hi, Rio.
Hi, Adriana. How are you doing?
I'm great. So you, like me, have met a lot of solo attorneys. What do you think of Kristen's approach to shifting from a legal practice to mediation? She seemed to have a pretty solid plan.
Yeah, she really did. And I have to say, I'm so impressed by how much preparation she did. I think that patience can be a really difficult thing, particularly when you're excited about something, right? So you want to just go head first and get it done. But she really took her time to prepare and learn. And that is such an important and I think hard thing to do in a lot of cases.
No, I agree with you. And I sometimes I think attorneys take too long. When they call me and they're like, I'm going solo, I'm doing this. I'm like, oh my God, you are not the first to do this. Let's go. This doesn't have to take 2 years. So I think there's a balance between taking too long and maybe getting too caught up in the weeds. And what do they call that? Decision paralysis. So I think there's jumping in too quick and not being at all prepared. And then I think there's taking a little too long and just never getting prepared. So you never get there. But then there's this nice fine balance, which I think Kristen found.
It seems that she really focused on kind of learning the ins and outs of this new kind of practice that she was going into, right? Going from kind of a litigation background, moving into a neutral practice area. She really focused on understanding that and gaining that hands-on experience through, her pro bono work and pursuing extra training, which I think is a really good balanced work. She was a solo before, so it seemed like, she kind of had all of those other pieces in place.
And I'm going to assume that in doing that type of prep, really being sure you can never be 100% sure, I guess, but, being better sure that you're ready, that you're also reducing risk.
Yeah. So I think when it comes down to it, being prepared definitely helps to mitigate that risk, right? Risk is highest when lawyers move too fast without systems, without proper coverage in place, without clarity of kind of where they're going, but also what they're doing. That can create a lot of opportunities for missteps. And her story really, I think, reinforces that notion that when you're making a major career shift, thinking it through is a really important thing to do. It can really help reduce your exposure to obviously, pitfalls, but also it helps protect your clients. It helps protect your reputation, particularly when you're building a new reputation in a new area of practice. Yeah, being prepared and kind of thinking it through is definitely a good approach to take. But also, to your point, don't take too long. Just don't overthink it. Just get it done.
She talked a lot about her pro bono work. It's really in her heart. She's very generous. She does a lot in the local San Diego community. So I find that it was probably easy for her to do that pro bono work, but it also seems like such an important investment in an attorney's business, but especially if they're looking to transition to something different.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of the best definition of a win-win scenario. I mean, you're giving back, you're doing something good, you're helping people, but you're also have a tremendous opportunity to learn and gain new skills. I mean, typically with pro bono work, you're also coupled with another attorney who helps guide you, and there's coaching, there's support there, right? You're not on your own, and you're learning new skills, new practice area in a pretty low stakes sometimes environment. I mean, it's I think a really, really good approach to take and a really good way to gain that experience and the nuances and understand kind of the new terrain that you're going to be entering into.
You use the term low stakes, which I worry might make someone think they don't need to have the same or the right coverage because doing pro bono work can seem like low stakes. It's not.
Yeah.
So is there anything we should consider when we're looking at coverage, even when we're doing pro bono work?
Yeah. So I think so. Let me maybe backtrack on that because there is really especially in terms of like a malpractice sense, there's no such thing as low stakes, right? There are pitfalls there. Anything could go wrong at any time. When you are considering doing pro bono work, it is really important to check your policy, check your malpractice policy and its scope. Most of the time, coverage does extend to pro bono services, but if you're doing those for, an outside organization, you could run into some challenges and you could risk, straying into territory where you're not necessarily covered for that work. So risk obviously doesn't go away just because invoices do, but taking the time to kind of check with your insurer, check the scope of your policy is a really good way to just keep yourself and your clients protected.
I mean, it seems to me like this should be question 101 when you're shopping for coverage. And I'm sort of pausing because I'm using the word shopping. And when I do consultations, I tell them to shop for insurance. So I want you as an expert in the field to tell us what's shopping for liability insurance like and what kind of questions and answers should we look for, including this is what made me think of it. Oh yeah, pro bono work. That seems like something we should ask when we're shopping.
Yes. Oh, this is a great question. Absolutely. You should be shopping for any kind of insurance. It's the same, malpractice liability insurance. It's the same as others. There's going to be differences in premiums. There's going to be differences in coverage. The devil is always in the details, right? You have to read through what is actually being offered and what you are actually covered for. So some of the questions you should be asking is, what are my policy limits? What happens if I have a claim or I think I'm going to have a claim? Can I report it? Do you encourage early reporting? That is a green flag. If they're telling you, yes, if you even suspect something went wrong and you're telling us ahead of time, we won't penalize you for it. That's a green flag with any insurer, right? If they're discouraging you from doing that, that's not a good sign.
Oh.
Asking, yes, are you covered for pro bono? What about if you want to go out and do some freelance work? Is that something you're going to be covered for? What are your deductibles? What are your limits? Are you covered for prior acts at other firms? Maybe that's an important one to think about. Oftentimes you're not, so it's important to consider that. How does your balance of practice area, say you do a little bit of family law, but you also do a little bit of real estate. How does that impact your policy? How does that impact your premiums? Those are definitely questions you should be considering. And then also thinking about things like, what is the process for buying that insurance, but also renewing? What if I have questions? How easy is it to talk to somebody? Those are all things to consider as well, just beyond what the actual policy says.
Another question that I thought of when I was re-listening to that episode is she networks a lot. She networked then, and I know she still does today, but not every shift in your practice means running for bar president or becoming a judge in the future, things like that. But being bar president and being very involved with community events and her own, I know attorneys like Kristen also network at their kids' soccer games and at church, and it's not always professional networking that they're doing. And it works for her. It works very well for a lot of attorneys. Is there some reduced liability in working with clients who are referred in and are within a few degrees of separation from you, kind of like that mother-in-law with the real estate properties?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, there's that old adage kind of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, I think in law, it's both. You need to know the things, but also knowing people helps. And particularly when you're talking about referrals, right? If you are being referred clients, if they're coming from trusted networks, networking groups or people professionals that can definitely help reduce a type of risk called unknown clients, right?
So that's a type of risk, unknown client. But, hold on. I have a problem with this. Literally almost every client that walks in the door or walks in the internet door is an unknown client.
Yeah, so exactly. So what you typically where the risk lies, it's not with kind of like not knowing them. It's typically with if they don't communicate with you the same way or you don't communicate with them, if you're not taking the steps to kind of clarify, what you're doing for them, how you're kind of helping them, I know it's like, obviously you don't know everybody and not everyone knows everybody, but
I guess I'm kind of kidding, but I think it's hilarious that that's a literal term in professional liability is unknown clients.
Yeah. Well, insurance, we got to have those funny terms, right?
I'm kidding with you mostly, but it sounds to me like if you wanted to have good coverage at a good rate, you would say, well, I only do mediation and I only do it with people I know. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of that risk kind of typically can come from, and kind of reducing it comes from people who already know the kind of work you do. They already know your reputation. There's kind of better alignment, better communication. That's not to say that obviously you shouldn't be working with people that you don't know, but a lot of times, a lot of malpractice claims can come from somebody approaching you. They want to be your client, but they don't really understand kind of what it is that you do, or they want the moon and you can't give that to them. And then they get upset. And yeah, exactly. So, getting referrals, that always helps. But obviously you still need to have boundaries, even with people who already know you and have an idea of who you are. Kristen's approach, she's very professional, she's clear, she's consistent. Like that is key to avoiding the kind of like informal work and handshake deals that can really lead to claims. And that's kind of what I mean with unknown clients, right? It's like, if you're not communicating, if you're not making things clear, then that's where you can kind of run afoul of that.
So back to, I'm shopping for malpractice insurance and I'm a new attorney who's going to practice door law. As we know, jokingly, that means anything that walks in the door, versus a new attorney who says, I'm only going to do bicycle accidents.
So we love specialists. Niche is nice. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it really lowers your risk profile, right? Like focusing on one area means a few things. You're more likely to be competent and know the law and how to use it. You're more likely to be current, up to date with changes. You're more likely to be efficient. It helps you kind of build systems, using tech tools within your practices that are streamlined. There's much less margin of error when you kind of really are familiar with the area of law that you're practicing. And kind of also like another point, it helps to strengthen your brand. Branding is something that I find attorneys really struggle with it. And that's fine. We're not all marketers. It's kind of right. It's kind of a weird thing, but having a really strong brand also kind of helps people understand from the get-go what you do, how you work, how you communicate. And it's a really good approach to take. Specializing is amazing. And your premiums honestly will be lower. You're less risk, your premiums are going to be lower.
What else do you guys love? Do you love practice management systems? Do you love home offices versus shared offices? Like, what are the other things? Like, how do I make my professional liability company love me?
I love it. So when you're wooing your insurer, what you need to be thinking about is, so definitely specialization. The less dabbling you're doing, the better. We really like dedicated office space. Honestly, I know that's not always cost effective, but home offices are great for that reason, but there's lower risk, honestly. There's a lot of things that you can run afoul of when you're sharing office space. We really, really love lawyers who love practice management technology, who love just technology and are really focused on being proactive about identifying any areas that they could be kind of at risk of having a claim for, and taking steps to improve those. And lawyers who are lifelong learners and are really invested in they are, right? But kind of learning how to kind of avoid those missteps, we really, really like that as well.
Well, this has been, yet again, another enlightening and fun conversation, Rio. Thank you so much for taking the time to help us and recap that great episode I had with Kristen Rizzo in San Diego.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time on New Solo.
I've been running from 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. Just leave me alone.